My name is Ahmed Kabir. I am a certified public accountant in Saudi Arabia for the last 32 years. Sorry for some delay because of the technical issues. Today we are discussing the ZATCA phase-2 implementation. ZATCA initiated the e-invoicing implementation process in 2021. Then they enhanced the process, adding many additional functionality as part of phase 2. The phase 2 will be implementing in multiple waves. The phase 2 implementing in multiple waves. Every business organization up to 30 million riyal or above turnover are now asked to enroll into phase 2 process. Soon, the rest of the business organizations will be also applicable. Most of the business organization will be covered before the end of the current year. In phase 2, as well as in phase 1 also, the business organizations were classified into 2 categories, or the invoices, to be precise, is classified into 2 categories. One is business to consumer invoices, less than 1,000 riyal, and other invoices more than 1,000 riyal. The invoices less than 1,000 riyal is classified as a simplified tax invoice, and the other one is classified as tax invoices, which have different requirements with regards to the complaints. I like to inform you that if you have any questions or clarifications you may need, you have the facility to chat in your channel so that our team will be looking into that chat. Whatever items I can answer towards the end of this webinar, I will answer that. The rest of the chat items, we will contact you and try to update you related to the various requirements. Coming back to our discussion with regards to implementation of the phase 2 from ZATCA, as we mentioned earlier, simplified tax invoices has comparatively lower requirements compared to the tax invoices. In the picture shown below, the ZATCA, this is a screenshot from the ZATCA website, where what is marked in green is phase 1 requirement, and what is marked in light blue, it is the phase 2 requirements. So there is a lot more, the compliance requirement is there for the tax invoices compared to simplified tax invoices. When we are talking about the simplified tax invoices, the most important differentiating factor between the tax invoice and simplified tax invoice is the upload requirement and the approval of ZATCA for the invoice related. For a simplified tax invoice, the upload for verification by ZATCA is required only within 24 hours of issuing the invoice to the customer. Such the invoices then verified by ZATCA, any gap associated with regards to the compliance, they will inform back to the business organizations and they have to correct those requirements. But please note that the upload is done after the issue of the invoice. That is the main difference between the tax invoice and the simplified tax invoice. So, but there are many other requirements need to be complied by both, mainly to make sure that the ZATCA requirements are followed. Some of them are a QR code that is embedded with the ZATCA encryption so that the invoices once issued cannot be corrected anymore or modified anymore. When we are referring to the invoices, this includes debit note and credit notes. So coming back to the requirement, as we mentioned, the simplified tax invoice need to be uploaded only within 24 hours after issuing the invoice. But in the case of standard tax invoice, the invoice should be first uploaded to the ZATCA site, get it approved for compliance by ZATCA, then only it can be issued to the customer. Along with the approval of ZATCA, an encrypted stamping will be embedded into the QR code of the invoice so that anybody verifying that particular invoice based on the application provided by ZATCA, the invoice can be seen, the information related to the invoice along with the approval of the ZATCA can be viewed or verified by the user. So the most important thing here is that an invoice can be issued to a customer only after approval by ZATCA and the encrypted stamping of ZATCA on the invoices. The invoices should be shared in the PDF format, as well as the user should be able to get the data associated with the invoice in an XML form. So in future, it is going to help a lot of purchase update in the ERP systems so that instead of trying to type every information related to an invoice into the purchase system of an organization, the task can be reduced by simple uploading of the Excel that is received from the supplier. A lot of invoice effort, invoice purchase update will be considerably reduced for every business organization which is facilitating that. So in short, in the standard tax invoice, first the approval from the ZATCA need to be received. Based on that approval, an encrypted stamping will be embedded in the QR code associated with the invoice. The invoice should be shared in the PDF format. That's why the whole process of e-invoicing. So a hard copy is no more sufficient. A PDF format of the invoice should be provided, as well as the data related to the invoice should be available in an XML format. Now let us discuss how the process is doing going to phase 2. As part of that, the first step, the ZATCA will be sending a mail or a communication to the business organizations which is covered under the current wave they define for those organizations need to proceed with the implementation process. In that communication, mainly three contact information need to be provided. That is a primary contact and a secondary contact and a solution provider contact. The ZATCA need to get these information. These information need to be provided by the business organization within 7 days of receiving the communication from ZATCA. Once the reply received by ZATCA, ZATCA will provide for testing purpose a site or generally called a sandbox in which the business organization can test what the ZATCA called as devices of invoicing. So one organization can use multiple devices for integration. That device ID will be encrypted by ZATCA, and the same device need to be approved by ZATCA for further invoicing process. Along with that, all the communication between the business organization and ZATCA will be tested during the testing phase. Normally, it is 3 to 4 months time, but that is a very short period for every organization to complete that process. So please consider the time frame from the start date of the testing until the completion date for testing, that is go live date. It is a very tight schedule. Every business organization should try their level best to complete the testing process within that period of time. Once the testing is completed, then the ZATCA will provide a longer period, maybe 4 to 5 years time, for continue using that particular device for the invoicing. And as we mentioned earlier, a simplified tax invoice need to be uploaded within 24 hours, or every other invoice need to be approved by ZATCA before issuing the invoice. That when we are talking about invoice, I am repeating again, it includes debit notes and credit notes associated with the invoices. Okay, so, but you see, many organizations are seriously concerned mainly because the ERP solutions they are using may not be compliant with the phase 2 requirement. So, for doing or proceeding with the phase 2, you need not change the entire ERP. ZATCA requirement is related to only a few, mainly the invoicing system, not the entire ERP is applicable. So one thing that we can provide you an invoicing system fully compliant with ZATCA requirement, which can be integrated to any other ERP using by the business organization, or the data can be uploaded from the invoicing system providing by us to the other ERPs. Okay, so the ERP need not be changed, but you have to have a proper invoicing system compliant with the ZATCA phase 2, the data from which either should be integrated to the current ERP or it should be able to upload to the current ERP. We are supporting a set of ERPs fully compliant with the ZATCA phase 2 requirement, like Unicom ERP. We are a service provider for Voodoo. we are also supporting ZATCA ERP in terms of the phase 2 requirement. These ERPs are fully compliant. There is no any specific requirement is there, but the process is a tight process. The sandbox and the testing and all the process associated with that. We will handhold the organization until completing all process related to the ZATCA phase 2 implementation. If you have any further questions or details, you can contact us. And a few of the questions I received during the chat, okay, I will reply to you. One question that is raised earlier is related to any group in relation to ZATCA, okay, which can be discussed the problems associated with the phase 2 implementation. Yes, there is a ZATCA site. If you want, you can note it down. https://satca1.discourse.group. This site provides a communication facility to discuss between the various the participants and in this process. A lot of answers can be provided by ZATCA also. For that, first you have to log into the ZATCA site from there to raise any question. But if you want just to view the previous questions, you need not do that. The questions are listed there. You can go into the questions and you can get some sort of a clarification with regards to the details associated with the implementation process. Another question that has come up is that, is there to whom we can directly contact, okay, in ZATCA for any clarification, questions, or details? ZATCA is very supportive in this process during the testing phase, but all communication will be coming to the primary contact as we replied in the mail. Okay, so the primary contact can contact any issues or problems. They are supportive, they are hand-holding, they are trying to solve the issues of the users during the testing phase. So you can communicate and they will answer most of the communication to the primary contacts that you have given in the answer to the mail from there. Okay. There is also a concern with regards to saying that there is no purchases in the phase 2. Yes, it is true, because the phase 2 is related to invoicing or sales only. All the purchases are normally updated through the VAT report, either monthly or quarterly, depending on the turnover of the business organization. So purchases are not covered or made any modification related to phase 2. Thank you very much for listening to the discussion. If you have any further questions in this regard, okay, you can contact us based on the contact details that is provided in the presentation. We are happy to support you in this process.